Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the MCC webinar series for bookkeepers and business managers. I'm Mary Beth Morgan. I'm the manager of the Employee Benefits Department, and today we're talking about 403B plan. We're going to be covering what a 403B plan is, share some information about our plan, the roles that everyone has in administering the plan, review some plan highlights, quickly go over some information flow, talk about Prudential and how an employee would enroll, and then what you need to do when an employee actually makes an election to contribute, touch on distributions from the plan and loans, and then questions. And I will be answering questions throughout the presentation as well as they come in. Ryan will be bringing those to my attention. So you can either do it then or we can wait till the end to review those. So what is a 403B? Well, 403B is similar to a 401k, but it's the type of plan for nonprofit employers such as ours. And the numbers 403B, 401k reference sections of the Internal Revenue Code that allow us to offer these retirement savings programs as employers. And they provide tax advantage retirement savings, vehicles in which employees can save through payroll deductions for retirement. The plan offers a wide range of investment options, mutual funds, bond funds, etc. And the benefit of offering an employer-provided 403B is we most of the time can offer lower fees than, say, going to an IRA or an individual employer TSA, which is another form of a 403B. So this offers a way for them to save lower fees, easy payroll deduction. So why do we offer a 403B? Well, it's for the financial well-being in retirement for our employees. So traditionally, retirement income was based on a three-legged stool. Your employer provided retirement pension, which for us is the lay employees retirement plan for our lay employees, the Social Security benefit, which can be kind of, tenuous. We never know if it's going to be there or not. And then personal savings. So the 403B is part of that personal savings piece that employees can take advantage of and why we offer it. So what is the MCC 403B plan? This is just some data on the plan. The formal name is the Michigan Catholic Conference 403B plan. We often refer to it as the MCC 403B Retirement Savings Plan. The plan became effective January 1st, 2009. Prior to that, it's my understanding, and I wasn't here, but there were parishes, dioceses, schools that were offering their own 403B TSA program, kind of ad hoc, and we wanted to bring it under one roof for ease of administration, to take advantage of those lower fees, because the more money you have in the whole of a plan, the lower your fees are. MCC and the Finance Committee of the Board are considered the plan sponsor. The plan does have an investment advisor, Cap Trust. The record keeper administrator is Prudential Retirement, and the plan number is 008147. So the roles, we have different roles, the groups that I just mentioned, and we all have a role in this plan. For MCC, we oversee the plan design and administration of the 403B. We also are responsible for ensuring plan compliance, and we partner with our legal counsel to do that. We also work with Prudential when we need to correct something to get it back into compliance. The Finance Committee oversees the financial integrity of the plan. It sets investment policy, and with the guidance of our outside investment advisor, they decide on the fund options that are offered within the 403B plan. Cap Trust, as I mentioned, is our investment advisor. They provide us quarterly investment reports, give us heads up on what's happening in the market. As far as our plans, they give us the results of the returns on not individuals, but plan investments, benchmark those to funds that are the standard for that class of investment. And so we keep an eye on what's going on. And when we see that a fund may not be performing as well as expected on an ongoing basis, they might choose to switch that out for another fund within the same class that might be doing better. Those decisions are not made lightly. We don't like to make changes quickly or knee jerk. So we watch these funds and really see what the trend is on them. Prudential Retirement provides several services to MCC and participants. They help us do the fiduciary risk management. They offer the state-of-the-art record keeping, which is where your participants are going to go out and see their records. They provide administrative services, a target date solution, an in-plan guaranteed income fund, participant investment education and communications. They offer financial wellness solutions and guidance on compliance and regulatory issues. And I want to add on the investment education and communications, they have on their website quite a robust information for individuals, but we have also brought them out to do presentations to groups of employees and dioceses. So when we can all do that in person again, they can come out and just work with Isabel Hershey on the EB staff here at MCC to help set that up. So you, the bookkeeper, business manager, also play a role in making sure we're compliant and administering the plan correctly. So the first thing we ask you to do is please make sure you inform your employees that they're eligible to participate in the plan. And I'll be going over eligibility rules here in a little bit. And guide them to our website for information on the plan and to the Prudential website to enroll and manage their account once they are contributing to it. The other really important thing, and probably the most important thing in terms of compliance, is you're responsible for the payroll deductions according to the employee's directive for the contributions. And failure to deduct the amount that the employee has elected can be costly to you, because if you do not do what they asked you to do, the election, you may have to make up any missed contributions or a portion of those missed contributions and the lost interest. So it's really important that you do those payroll deductions as directed. And I'll be getting into the flow of that and how an employee can enroll and when you get those deductions. I also want to mention at this point that there is no fee from MCC or Prudential to you, the unit, the school or the parish that's offering this plan, to offer the MCC to your employees. So you're not seeing any charges for this, and your employees are paying fees or the investment fees through the actual investments. Plan highlights, eligibility and contributions. All active regular employees and clergy are in participating units are eligible to contribute to the 403B. That means a part-time employee working 5 hours a week or one that's working 40 hours. We don't limit this just to the benefit eligible for the health and welfare programs and LERP. All employees, regular employees, are eligible to participate. Temporary and contract employees are not eligible. They're eligible immediately upon hire to start contributing, and they can start contributing at any time. So there's no enrollment period. It's open enrollment all the time. They can enroll at any time. They can change their deferral at any time. There's no waiting period, no specific time like there is for getting into the medical plan. There are employer contributions that are allowed into the plan if you so wish, but only diocesan units may have employer contributions. So those of you out there who are not associated with a diocese, you cannot have those employer contributions. Anybody participating in the plan is immediately 100% vested on all contributions. The plan does allow loans, and there are withdrawals that can be taken while still actively employed. There's in-service withdrawals at age 59.5 and hardship withdrawals when needed. All of the withdrawals and loans, those actions go through Prudential so that the participant would contact them directly. Contributions. There are actually two different types of contributions that are now allowed into the 403B through payroll deduction. The first is the pre-tax, and that's been in place since 2009, and we now are offering the Roth after tax. The maximum deferral rate for either the pre-tax or the Roth is 85% for normal contributions. For catch-up contributions, it can go up to 100%. So what are catch-up contributions, you might ask? So any employee, beginning the year they turn age 50 and every year thereafter, can do catch-up contributions. And catch-up contributions can be 100% of their pay. But you cannot start catch-up contributions until the employee has reached the maximum allowed that year for normal contributions. For 2020, the normal contributions are $19,500. So they can put 85% of their pay, up to 85% of their pay, to a maximum of $19,500. If they want to contribute more at that point, they could go up to 100% and do the catch-up contributions as $6,500. I understand that most people aren't going to be able to contribute those maximums. So usually it's just, you're going to stick to that 85% maximum. And people, participants can either contribute a dollar amount or a percentage amount when they go into elect. The minimum is 1% or $1. I didn't mention that here. The plan also allows rollovers into the plan, and rollovers mean money that might be coming from a 401k from another employer or a 403b from another employer. They also take rollovers from lump sums from qualified pension plans that would have a lump sum. Those questions, if somebody has a rollover, again, can be directed right through Prudential, and they can help them. It's much easier to go directly to Prudential to facilitate any type of rollover.
I have a quick question about contributions, Mary Beth.
Okay.
One of the participants would like to know if there's a form available out on our website that would allow employees to fill out when there's a payroll.
I'm going to talk about payroll deductions and how to enroll and how to make those elections in a little bit. A good question. I'll be covering that.
Very good.
So I'm going to touch a little bit deeper on the Roth contributions. Roth contributions, those after-tax contributions, most people associate them with Roth IRAs, but we started allowing a Roth contribution to the 403b in 2019. And Roth contributions provide the employee the choice to contribute with after-tax dollars. And when they go to withdraw that money at retirement, all that money that contributed, any earnings that they made on that money are tax-free. Prudential has tools out on their website, or you can call their customer service number, and they will help guide you through whether the Roth contribution is a good option for that person. And you can contribute both to a Roth and pre-tax. Just remember that the total annual maximum between Roth and pre-tax is still that $19,500 for 2020. So it's a combined total maximum. Investment options. I mentioned earlier that there are a wide range of investment options. I'm giving you a quick overview of what those options are. So you can see we have a lot of different options. They fall in a lot of different investment classes. We have the guaranteed income fund. We have, bond funds, large cap, small cap, mid cap. We also have a couple Catholic funds. We have the Ave Maria Bond Fund and the Catholic Investor Large Cap Growth Fund. So you can see we have a wide range of funds available for employees to choose from. So how do they make those choices when they want to enroll and invest? The best way is to go online or call Prudential. And again, I'll get into how they make those elections in a little bit. But the Goal Maker Fund is an optional, easy to use asset allocation program offered through Prudential that will help the participant invest their contributions in a portfolio matching their style. So there's some questions. They're going to look at their age, when they want to retire, what their investment style is, and then taking the funds that we offer, they kind of put together a portfolio that best matches that person's desires in terms of retirement goals. It's really easy to use. I've used it myself, and it's a tool that's right out there on the website. And then they just rebalance the fund and make sure that it's just moving along smoothly. It's called a passive investment method. People can use mixture of the goal maker fund and then invest separate from that in options. So there's a lot of different ways they can go. Please be aware that MCC does not assist with investment decisions. We can guide them to the tools that are available, but we cannot give any investment advice. Prudential does offer other tools besides the goal maker out on their website, and they also have an app, including the financial wellness assessment, debt management, and keeping track of your money are just a few of the things that participants can avail themselves out on the Prudential website. Also under our plan, we have a self-directed broker service that's available for a fee for those more advanced investors or people that want a broader range of funds to choose from to invest in within the 403B. They can participate in that self-directed broker services. You contact Prudential if you would like to set that up or if you have a participant who wants to do that. So the flow of information between you and MCC and Prudential is as follows. So as you know, MCC gathers all your employee data through the file feeds. We take that demographic data and we send it to Prudential. So the social security number, name, address, date of birth, date of hire. And if they term their termination date, we send that to Prudential. For new hire, Prudential then sets up a 403B participant account. At that point, the employee can go out there and to their website, call or fill out a form to make their elections, their deferral elections, their investment elections, and name their beneficiary. If they go through Prudential, either through phone call or on the web, Prudential will send a report to MCC letting us know that an employee made a deferral election. We get that report weekly. We then forward a report out to the appropriate bookkeeper for the employee that elected the deferral and said, hey, your employee enrolled in the 403B and they want to make a deferral of X% or X dollars. So say Jane Doe enrolled with a 403B and she wants a pre-tax deduction of 10% to begin taken out of her pay. That's the report you'll get. Or another employee was doing a pre-tax at 10%. Now they've changed it to the Roth at 10%. So you'll get those report on a weekly basis. You get an email notifying you that that report's available. You go out, you get the report, and then you set up that payroll deduction out on your pay system. This is a snapshot of what your employees will see, or you will see if you haven't enrolled, when they first get started out on the Prudential website. So they can enroll on Prudential. You go to that website, and if they're a newly registering on the plan, they'll go to the register now as a new user. If they've already been out there and set up their account, they would just log in. So this is the way they do it online to set up their account. So they can enroll online, or they can enroll by calling Prudential at the 877-778-2100. And finally, they can complete an enrollment form and salary reduction agreement. There is a form available out on our website. If you choose to go with the paper route, you'll need to have our plan number written on there, and then the subplan number is listed. And this information is out on the MCC website at micatholic.org in the 403B section. This is not really the preferred way to do it, but if this is the way you want to do it, that's fine. If somebody enrolls online or through the call, that is an authorized payroll deduction. So the contribution election, I'm just going to kind of go over this again. So elections through Prudential, they're going to do an online election. It's a valid authorization to take a payroll deduction, or if they call, it's also an authorized payroll deduction. You'll get the weekly report of any changes, and then you enter it into the payroll system as soon as possible. If you go the paper enrollment route, you need to send that complete enrollment form to Prudential. Prudential needs to know what that employee elected as their deferral percentage or dollar amount. They need to know what the employee chose as their investment options. and they need to know who the beneficiary is, and that's all on that enrollment form. So you should forward that to them. You can keep a copy for your records, that's fine. Or if you want to send it to MCC benefits and we can forward it to Prudential, that's fine as well. But once they fill out that enrollment form, whether through online, by phone, or paper, make sure you put that 403 contribution election into the payroll system as soon as possible. And if they're electing to stop it, make sure you stop it as soon as possible. And make sure you use the correct payroll deduction codes for your payroll system. And I'm going to go over the Paycor because we have the relationship with Paycor. So for those of you who are Paycor users, these are the set deduction codes that you would use. For there's a pre-tax deduction, the 403B. There's a Roth after-tax deduction code, a 403B Roth. And if you are doing employer contributions, there's two different types of contribution codes that you would use. If you are doing a matching contribution, which means what you put in as an employer is somehow matched up to what the employee is putting in, that's the code you would use. So say the employee is, you put in 50 cents for every dollar that employee puts in. This is just an example. You would use the 403B ER code because you're matching it. There's a formula. Most employers, I don't believe, are doing employer matches, but I did want to let you know that they are available. The second code for the employer contribution is if you want to do an elective. So say once a year you want to do a $100 contribution to the employee's 403B, regardless of what they may be putting in, what the employee may be putting in. That's an elective contribution. So once you get the contribution codes in and the deductions start coming, we have an automated way to get that money from your account over to Prudential. So this is for Paycor users only. People who are using Bean Garter have a separate system that we don't get involved in. But for Paycor, we process contributions weekly. We go in and grab all the payroll deductions as reported to us by Paycor. We grab that from your GL account after the pay date. We do a lot of checking and balancing, making sure everything's correct, that it reports, that it matches up what Paycor is saying, and then we move those funds to Prudential. Prudential then places all that money into the employee's records and invests it for them. Okay. So once the money's in there, an employee has been investing and they find out they really need to take a loan. They want to take a loan out for something. They're buying a new house or they have an unforeseen expense. They can take a loan. The normal loan amount is up to 50% of their account balance with a maximum of $50,000. There are fees that are applicable to loans. There's a application fee that's charged. And repayment is done by the employee direct to Prudential. Payroll deduction for loan repayment is not allowed. So you don't have to worry about setting up payroll deduction codes for loan repayments. So you should all be very thankful for that. That arrangement for a loan is just between the employee and Prudential. And they would apply for loans directly through Prudential. Distributions. Once an employee is ready to take their money out, there's different times that they can do that. The distributions are allowed at retirement. If they terminate employment, they can take their money. They can take it at 59.5, even if they're actively working. At death, the beneficiary can take out the benefit. Disability also is another reason why a participant could take out a distribution. Distributions are required at 70.5. Those are called minimum required distribution. The age will be going up to 72. Right now it's 70.5. The plan allows for hardship withdrawals. If somebody has an economic hardship and they need to access their money, it's different than a loan. They would take their money out and Prudential does manage that as well. We do want to make sure that everybody's aware that any early distribution is subject to an early withdrawal penalty. So an early distribution is before somebody's 59 and a half. There's a 10%, typically a 10% penalty that's tacked on to any taxes that would be payable on that distribution. The distributions, not all distributions are taxable. So a distribution that's a rollover, whether it be to another similar plan, another 403B or 401K, or a rollover to an IRA, those are not taxable events. A lump sum distribution is a taxable event, and any type of periodic payment that a person has chosen from their 403B account is a taxable event. Of course, the taxes are going to depend on whether it's a pre-tax or a Roth. So if it's pre-tax distributions, those would be taxable. If they're Roth contributions, it wouldn't be taxable. And distributions, again, the person just contacts Prudential directly. So I've given you some parameters about loans and distributions. Well, some of that changed because of the CARES Act in response to COVID and everything that we're dealing with. So there are some temporary rule changes for the required minimum distributions, which were waived for 2020. And then there are some distributions and loans that are loan relief that are being allowed for qualified participants. So there's a coronavirus related distribution, CRD, which is in effect for distributions after January 1, but before December 31 of 2020, for distributions up to 100,000. The 10% early withdrawal penalty does not apply if they take their money out. And if it's repaid within 3 years, it's treated as a rollover, which means it's not taxable. So there's a lot of details around that. If you have somebody who's interested in the distribution under the CRD, I can give them details, or they can contact Prudential directly. There's also some loan relief that has been put in place between March 27th and September 23rd. Loans may be taken up to 100% of their account balance with a minimum or a maximum distribution or loan of 100,000. If you recall earlier, I said the loans could be 50% up to 50,000. Now it's 100% up to 100% up to 100,000 maximum under the relief. And the person can delay loan payments, but that has to be a request made directly to Prudential. So those are some things under CARES Act. These are temporary and they go away after the end of the year, unless things change with any new legislation. So if you have questions, just general questions about the 403B, you can direct those right to the MCC benefits team. They can answer general questions about enrolling in distributions. If you are a unit that currently isn't offering our 403B plan and you would like to, you can contact myself or Isabel Hershey on the benefits team, and we can guide you through that. For the diocesan units, it's just merely a matter of filling out the unit change form and getting it back to us. And for the non-diocesan, it's a little more involved. We have to get some other documents in place, so it takes a little bit longer. So a 90-day heads up is preferred. If you have questions regarding the transfer of funds from Paycor to Prudential, those can always be directed to Brian Buckingham, our controller here at MCC, or myself. And any employee questions regarding their own 403B account, those can be directed directly to Prudential. So that's the end of my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
We did have one question from a participant that says, if already set up with pre-tax deductions, do I need to contact Prudential to start deductions for a Roth?
Yes, if the deductions are pre-tax and somebody wants them to be a Roth deduction, you need to contact Prudential. I just want to say, I know that we have a lot of participants who are contributing And Prudential has no idea what their election is because the unit started making those deductions and didn't notify Prudential, didn't forward on the deduction. So anytime a change is made, you need to contact Prudential. You can make the change on the form if you want and send those to Prudential, that's fine. But to change any kind of deduction from pre-tax to Roth, percentage to dollar, changing the dollar amount, the percentage amount, everything has to be communicated through Prudential.
Another question regarding the minimum distribution age changed to 72. When does that go into effect?
It's going to change for next year. So it'd be anyone, I believe, that turns 72 in 2020. Their required minimum distribution date will be April 1st of 2021. And the RMD, the required minimum distribution, if the person is actively employed, the required minimum distribution will be postponed until they actually retire or terminate employment. And Prudential will reach out to anybody who needs to make that election, who's going to need the RMD distribution so that they can make a decision before it's calculated and just sent out to them automatically, because it will be sent out to the participant automatically absent an election. And that's by law. This is not a rule that's made by us. It's a rule under the IRS code.
Another question, is there a report showing the best performing funds out there?
There are reports, there's information available on how the funds are, how they're doing, how they're performing. So you can go out and look at that. Once you're in the plan, you'll get prospectus from the different funds. But the thing about performance is you don't necessarily, with investments, is you want to have a diversified portfolio so that you protect yourself against the downside. So sometimes the highest performing funds might hurt you when they go down. So you want to have that, that mix of diversified funds. And you also want to make sure that you take into account any other type of savings that you would have outside the 403B and making sure you're diversified. Prudential can look at what your current situation is within the 403B plan, but they're not going to be able to look at the whole picture unless you're willing to share it with them. So sometimes an outside financial planner is a good idea if you do have more than one 403B or 401k fund.
Also wanted to mention that the plan has really been growing a lot. There's like $60 million being invested already. Yeah. And so the plan is doing very well. Lots of people out there participating, and it's a really good plan to get involved in if possible.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, because as those funds grow, as we get more people participating and saving for their retirement, which is really important, because there's a looming crisis out there in terms of our seniors not having enough money to live on, and this 403B can help them. But as the participants increase and the total bucket of money grows, we can get into those higher class investments and lower the fees for the participants, which is big. And our investment advisor keeps an eye on that and makes sure that we're taking advantage of those lower fee funds as we move forward.
Got another question here that I can answer, actually. How is Prudential notifying units if there's a unit employee that reaches out to them to make changes? So when they make changes on the Prudential website, all of those get collected into a report that I download once a week on Friday, and I email out those. I split them all out to individual units, and I email I email a notification out to all of the bookkeepers that have had changes during the week. And so you'll get an email that says, hey, go out and download the report. And the report is available on the bookkeeper self-serve website. So you'll get those weekly if there have been any changes.
And to add to that, and I meant to mention it earlier, one thing you might want to do as just kind of a best practice is when you do get that report, double check with the employee. Just say, hey, got a report from MCC saying that you elected to defer money, X amount into your 403B. Just want to make sure we're good to go on that. I know internally, our payroll person does that when they get the report. Just as a double check. I don't suspect any fraud, but it's just another way for you to just double check with your employee, make sure you're all on the same page.
Another question about address changes. Address changes do come from the file feeds that we get, and we send a file out to Prudential once a week on Fridays with any changes in addresses.
Yes, and that just, you might not be aware of this, Ryan, but we do have some problems with the clergy, the priests' data, because we don't update their address on our system from the payroll file feeds. So we might have the address in the system different than what Paycor or BeanGarter has. And especially with the Paycor file feed going over with the contributions, if those addresses are even the slightest difference, street spelled out rather than shortened, that will cause the address changes, and they'll get notifications from Prudential, your address change, your address change. So if you run into that problem, contact MCC. We need to double check and make sure everything on Paycor matches exactly what we have on our system so that those types of address changes don't happen. And active employees cannot change their address directly with Prudential. It has to be through our file feed.
Another question, is there a video or recorded presentation at the employee level that might be for those employees that might be interested in 403B?
Out on the Prudential website, they have the tools. We don't have anything yet. It's something that is on my wish list to have an employee type webinar series as well. We do have the Prudential can put something together. There's a series of them they can do, like basic 101 and saving for retirement, one on financial wellness. So if you're interested in having something for your employees, contact Isabel Hershey or myself, and we can work with Prudential to get something directly to you.
Can a participant take an in-service distribution after 59 and a half and continue after that to make contribution to their 403B?
Yes.
Okay. If a person retires from a parish and then comes back to work 19 or less hours, can they enroll?
Yes.
Yes. You mentioned that a unit has to activate this benefit so that the employee can take advantage. Is there a deadline for the unit to do so?
Well, we like to make changes for any of our benefit lineup twice a year. So for the next time around, it will be a September 1 effective date, our deadline date to get it set up for the January 1. That this time of year, it's really busy while we get set up for the open enrollment. So if you're not currently participating, you would fill out the unit change form, and you can contact me if you're not even sure if you're participating in it or not. I can look it up for you, or you could refer back. We sent you the rate change sheet late April, and that indicates all the benefits that we show your unit participating in, but it's probably just easier to call me and I can look it up, or call the MCC benefit team and they can look it up as well. And our number is 800-395-5565. And you can reach anybody at MCC through that number.
Also, the email address is benefits@micatholic.org.
Thank you, Ryan.
What happens when an employee leaves employment but is not yet at retirement age?
They can leave the money in the plan if they wish. If they want to take it out, roll it over to another employer plan, an IRA, they can. Um, but, but they need to be aware of the fee structures, because if they roll it over to an IRA, the fees may, I'm not saying they will, but they may be higher because they're in an individual account, and they might not have that advantage of that $60 million and the lower fee structures. So it's a personal decision. They just need to be aware what's going to be best for them. But they can roll it over. They can take a direct distribution, a lump sum amount. That would be a taxable event. If it's a Roth, they have to have the money in there for so many years before they can take it out. So there are some rules around that. But yeah, there are options. Once they terminate, they can take the money, but they don't have to. Any other questions? All right, good questions. Thank you, everybody.
Just one more note that I got from someone is that to just let everybody know that MC doesn't advise on the availability of investments. The program is administered by Cap Trust. I think you covered that earlier, but double
we
check.
Do not advise. Prudential does not give investment advice. There are fiduciary responsibilities that we have to be mindful of. We can inform, we can guide, but we can't give any kind of investment advice. Cap Trust is advising the committee, MCC, on the performance of the funds as compared to the benchmark and what other options might be better for our population. So we're always keeping an eye, making sure that we're offering the appropriate funds based on recommendations from the advisor. So that's just the funds we're offering, but we do not, Cap Trust isn't going to offer financial advice to an individual.
Cap Trust is one of the top advisors in the nation.
Yes.
They do a really good job for us.
Yes, they do.
All right, I don't have any more questions in the Q&A section.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining us today. If you think of anything, any questions that come up following the meeting, you can just send them to the benefits mailbox, and whoever can answer it will get it and respond to you as soon as possible. There will be, this webinar will be available out on our website later today, correct, Ryan? So you can.
That's correct. I should be able to get it out within the next 24 hours. If not later today, then certainly it will be done. It will be out there by the end of tomorrow.
Right. So all of our webinars that we've had are always available to you to rewatch out there on our website. So if you missed any of them, or you know somebody that missed today's, please just send them out there. And thank you so much. I hope you all stay well. Take care.